Hello, and welcome to the Cup TV, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and where you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I am your girl, Lana, your resident evil diva, and I'm here to give the tea, spill the tea, and drink the tea because you know I love me some tea. Purr. And if you have some tea, you know what to do. Hit me up. I am currently just drinking out some water because hydration is important. So, but if I was drinking anything else, I would probably be drinking out of my cup mug. Ooh, panel full of cup mugs, panel full of cup mugs. Beer. And you can get your cup mug. You can get your cup mug at ologiescreations.etsy.com, where we do ship internationally and domestic. Well, we do ship domestically here in the US.
Mhm.
Internationally, I'm not so sure anymore, but we're going to figure that out. So there are some excuses, but if you're in the US and the North America, Mexico, there are no excuses. So get your cup merch, cup mug, or any other cup merch, period.
And it's Brooke, the Brooke Hogan of the Cup. And I'm very excited because it's a very lovely month for us Femmes on the Cup, us Femme wrestling fans on the Cup. And we're going to talk about some really incredible women today. And if you're not happy with that, well, first, you're sexist, and second, cry about it.
So yes, we are talking. We're doing our. This is a fun one. This is going to be a fun one. We're doing our tier list for the top 30, I guess, WWE Women's Champions in our personal opinions. These are our opinions. You might agree with them. You might not. If you agree, great. If you don't, that's great too. Just tell us who you feel is in the top. How would you tier these amazing superstars? But
Yes.
first, subscribe to this channel. If you're watching and you're here, subscribe to the channel. Do that because why not? We appreciate you. And hit the notification bell so you won't miss any of the videos dropping because we do have a lot of videos coming out on this channel. And if you're a fan of drag or drag race of any kind, we have videos coming at you on our main channel at the Cup Pod. So go over there, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. Also, join the Tea Room, which is our membership page where you get early access to videos and exclusive videos that won't come out on the channel. So hit all of those buttons over there. And if you rather go to Patreon, we also have a Patreon page. Same exclusive videos. Just if you prefer Patreon, go over there and join over there. If you're a fan of Eurovision Song Contest, we got a channel for you, the Cup ESC. Go over there, join that channel, hit all the buttons. It's heating up over there. So,
Yeah.
you wanna
Officially liked by
you
a
wanna
few
do
of the
that. Hit
artists
that.
for this year, too.
And absolutely, we have been liked by some artists. So if the artists are watching our Eurovision channel, you should definitely be watching the Eurovision channel. So that's kind of
Mhm.
hot. And just look on the lookout for something amazing coming your way from the Cup channel. Something new is brewing. And you, if you're watching this video, you want to stick around and see what we got planned for you guys. Okay.
Hint,
So now
hint,
that we
it's
got all the
coming
business out of
soon.
the way, something good is coming. Um, so we got a good video for you coming your way today. Myself and Brooke, we are celebrating Women's Month. It is the International Women's Month. We're celebrating International Women's Month, and we love that. I'm a woman, Brooke's a woman. We're celebrating International Women's Month, and femmes, all femmes alike, we want to give props where props are due and give all these beautiful and amazing and talented and strong women their flowers. And so, what we are doing is we're going to do a tier list. We have 30 amazing women superstars who have held the championship in some capacity, and we're going to judge them on our tier list. So,
Yeah.
yeah,
So, and
you all get
that's
to watch.
any title, any women's title. It could have been the old school women's championship, the Divas championship, the NXT women's championship, either of the modern day women's titles. Any belt, as long as it was a singles women's championship in the company, they were eligible. And then Lana and I made our own little list, and they had a lot of overlap. So we just decided to make it our 30 picks for this list. Just the people we wanted to talk about, the people that left a big impact on us, and the people that are the reigns we either remember for good or bad reasons.
Absolutely, absolutely. Going to pull up my notes here so I won't forget anything. And yeah, all right. And let's get this started. Let's pull up the tier list here. So those are the ladies. I'm going to go to the list. So we're going to start with, and we're going to start with this Molly Holly is our first person. I'm going to let Brooke start us off and tell us where you would place Molly on the tier
Okay, as a
and
wrestler
why.
and as a wrestler, as a performer, Molly Holly is an undeniable goddess. She is one of the most talented women that have ever stepped foot in between the WWE ropes. My opinion, okay, my biased AF opinion. She's one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. I love her. As a champion, I will be objective. She was only champion twice, but her reigns were not incredibly long. But I think were lasting. I mean, Molly was so dedicated to that women's title that she got her head shaved so it could be defended at WrestleMania. If that doesn't tell you what kind of a champion she was, I don't know what else would. For me, Molly is at minimum a B tier. I would put her at A personally. I think that's like perfect for her.
So you put her at a B tier for right now.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would have to, I think Molly is was a great champion. I thought Molly had a great reign, and I don't just look at the length of how long you were champion, but if it made an impact and if it was something that I personally was just like remembered your reign for, and what you brought up about her shaving her head was the one thing that I was going to bring up that made me remember her reign the most. And
Mhm.
so, me personally, I would have her at an in the as an A tier
Mhm.
because I
See,
think her dedication and how hard she worked with that title just made that impact for me.
you are never gonna have to convince me that Molly Holly deserves to be in a higher tier on this list. So you put her in A, you put her in S. I'm fine either way. I think A might be a good place to start, just because I do think there are women that I'm going to say, oh yeah, that's a champion. That is somebody who's like carried this belt. And as much as I love Molly, and
Mhm.
I do, I don't think I would put her on that same tier. But God, I love her, and I'm so happy she's a Hall of Famer. She deserved her flowers a few years ago, and I'm happy she got it.
Absolutely. Oh, what we forgot to mention, you guys, what we're also doing, we have a special veto because Brooke and I just like games and we like to
Mhm.
play, fun little mini games in the game. And so what we're going to do is both have one veto that we can use to override a decision if we feel like the other person is just not hearing what we're saying. We only got one for this whole episode, so we have to use it wisely. So
Yes.
that's gonna be something. But we move. I think for right now, she's good at where she is. It
Yeah,
might
I agree.
change.
Mhm.
So up next we have, oh, I did it twice. I put her on here twice. Oops. Michelle McCool.
S.
Where do you think? Oh,
The
okay.
easiest S I have ever seen in my entire life. When I think about the Divas Championship, especially in its earlier years, the first person that comes to mind is Michelle McCool. Uh, Held that belt forever, dear Lord. She's a two-time Divas champion, unified the Divas title and the women's title with Layla. Like, if you want to talk about a woman who defined an era of women's wrestling in that company, Michelle McCool should be on the top of that list. And it baffles me that she is not in the Hall of Fame yet. Um, which
I mean, I think
based
it's
off
coming.
of where we're going, either there's still probably more people getting announced this year, and if not this year, it'll be next year for sure.
Oh yeah, I definitely think she's coming. It's happening sooner than later, for sure,
Mm-hmm.
for her. And I would agree with you. I think she was one of, like, she was one of the longest reigning Divas champions, and she
Mm-hmm.
was like so good at it. Like, oh my god, I you if you loved or hated Michelle McCool, you always had to respect what
Mm-hmm.
she did in the ring, and heck, what she could still do in the ring right now if she wanted to. So
I
I'm
mean,
a fan. I think, yeah,
she's
I'm
quickly
good with leaving
becoming.
her as for right now.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
During the Royal Rumble video, we mentioned how the Hurricane was kind of becoming like the socks of the Royal Rumble, and that like when he comes out, you're happy, but you're not really surprised. We said Molly Holly was kind of that. I don't know. I think Michelle McCool is also in contention for that. She's been in like 3 or 4 of them at this point. I think she's been in more than Molly has. So I love Michelle. I love her a lot, and I'm happy that she's doing well in a good spot in her life. Uh, Married to the Undertaker, all that fun stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm perfectly fine with leaving her at the S for right now.
Mhm.
Will it change? We'll see. Up next, Bianca Belair.
I'll let you go first, Lana. This is your girl.
I don't think there's a question about it. Y'all know I'm putting Bianca in the S tier. She is the
Mhm.
longest reigning champion in the modern era. She is she is Miss WrestleMania. She is undefeated at WrestleMania. She has, even when she lost her belt in 26 seconds, she came back and got it back.
Mhm.
I'm just like, you can't, her work ethic is insane. You can't tell me she is not one of the best women's champions. And she still got more and more in her. So we ain't seen the best of her yet, I don't think. But if we ain't seen the best, what else are we? What else could we see?
I mean, it's hard to argue with that. I mean, let's be real. I know we've been really nice so far. I trust me, that will change. Bianca is the. I mean, I know we make the EST jokes on here sometimes when we talk about her too, but she's really one of the best champions this company has ever had, male or female. Uh, Such a great brand ambassador, so talented in the ring. Um, I just imagine for one day being able to have the guns that Bianca Belair has. Like, just look at her muscles next time she
Please.
flexes. I'm so jealous. Um, but yeah, Bianca's great. Yeah, S tier. Like the only thing I will say about Bianca as a champion that I can think of negatively is that her reigns are really great. Well, her biggest reign is fantastic. Um, but it always kind of felt like she was an afterthought in a lot of her booking, which I don't blame her for, because she carried that belt with prestige and pride. I just wish they would have treated her better in her feuds than they did.
I agree with that. And like you said, that's not a fault of her. That's the fault of booking. But I agree with that.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have to use my veto so early, so I'm glad you agree with me.
What is there
If
to
you didn't,
argue
you
about?
had a problem.
It's Bianca Belair. I mean, come on. Bless you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But we move to Beth Phoenix. I'm gonna let you
Okay,
go.
this is a tough one for me. Um, so like I feel like we have this image of Beth being this like really conquering champion nowadays, but in reality, she didn't have the belts
Mhm.
very much. She was kind of
Right.
like the Nia Jax of her day. Like she would come in and she'd feud and beat up everybody, but at the end of the day, she kind of lost a lot. Especially after that feud with Melina in like 2008. Um, like I think she won the Divas title for a few months and then she lost it to one of the Bella twins. Like she really didn't have the belt very long, either of the belts very long. Um, and I remember Beth as an incredible talent. But when I think of her, I don't think of her as like a champion. That might be a controversial take. Um, and again, wherever we place them, this is not a knock on like their talent or any of that. It's just as a champion, like how much do we remember them being a champion? For me, I would put
Hmm.
Beth in C tier. I think she is extremely talented, but like I just don't remember her being a champion. You know what I mean?
I would have to agree with you on that. I'm trying to think of when I would think of Beth as the champion. I remember her becoming champion, but I don't remember her
Hmm.
being champion for long. And it's kind of like, I think your comparison to her being like Nia Jackson hit the nail right on the head. She comes in, she squashes a lot of people, she beat up a lot of people, but never was the champion for too long. Or it.
Hmm.
I I am so mad at myself. I forgot to put somebody on this list, and I'm mad at myself. But anyway, we move. Yeah,
R.I.P.
I think. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
it was somebody who was champion, but I don't remember her reign very much.
Yeah. I do feel
I
for
don't
her
know.
because again, she's incredible, and they never really let her have the ball and run with it. I think the reign of hers I remember the most was like the Divas of Doom run she had with Natalia, with the Divas title on SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
That's like peak Beth Phoenix to me. But even then, she was only champ for like 5 or 6 months. Like she really did not get a long run ever. She deserves better. She's great.
Like she at the edge, so she alright, she good. But yeah, she's still like, and she's a Hall of Famer, well deserved. I just don't remember her reigns. But
Yeah.
let let's um let's move on. Sasha Banks is up next. Brooke,
Okay. Um, do you want me to be nice or honest?
honest. This is all about being honest.
Okay, honest. She's a great talent. She's fantastic. They never let her do anything with that title. She has a ton of reigns with these championships. I think she's an 8-time women's champion. I could be wrong, but her actual reigns are not that solid. Her best reign was the one that where she beat Bailey for the belt, held it for a little bit, and then dropped it to Bianca. Um, Outside of that, most of her reigns are like 2 or 3 weeks. There was that whole stretch with her and Charlotte ping ponging the Raw Women's title back and forth with each other. Uh, like I adore Sasha, or the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks. I just I cannot say that she is like an S tier champion. Uh, she's an S ring talent. She's an S ring actor. She's an S rank performer. But as a champion, C tier.
I personally
Hmm.
would probably put her at a B tier.
Hmm.
I don't think she's a C tier. I think because I have to factor in that she has so many reigns, even if some are shorter than others,
Hmm.
and the impact that she has when she holds the belt. I feel like that impacts it for me.
Hmm.
Um, I kind of think. For me, I would probably say B tier. Now, if you could give me some arguments on why I should not think B tier, I'm open.
Honestly, I'm okay with her being B tier. Um, because I didn't think about this until you started talking. Her NXT Women's title reign is fantastic.
Yes.
So to me, we are counting that there is going to be a few NXT Women's champions on here. I think she can be B tier. I'm fine with that.
I mean, I feel like NXT champions are. I don't know if they made the list.
I put one on my list, so they should. Um, well, there's someone I'm going to be talking about their NXT reign for sure when we rank
Oh
them.
well,
Yeah,
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 yeah, yeah, for sure, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah. But yeah, I think she's definitely in a good spot where she's at. To me, she's like a B plus. I think she's fantastic. She's not Daniel
Hmm.
Bryan, I swear, but like she's B plus.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. So far, we all right. We making
Mm.
it. We agreeing. All right. Let's move on to Bailey.
Okay, this is an A tier champion to me. Um,
Okay.
Bailey is
Before Molly or after Molly?
before. She's higher than Molly. As much as it pains me. Uh Bailey held the SmackDown Women's title for over a year. She held the NXT Women's title for a while. She is a multiple time Raw Women's champion. Carried SmackDown through that pandemic, dear Lord. So like the only reason I wouldn't say S is because it never really feel like outside of parts of that reign that the company really had a lot of faith in her as a champion. Um, and I want that for her because I think she
Hmm.
deserves that. We also got to factor in she did cash in Money in the Bank to become a women's champion as well. She's the first Money in the Bank winner here, which I don't know. I don't know if that adds to the prestige of her reign or makes it worse. But no, but like Bailey's reigns, I think the biggest problem with Bailey as a champion that would keep her from being S tier is that outside of her NXT women's title runs, most of her defenses are not incredibly memorable to me. I don't go and be like, oh yeah, Bailey was SmackDown Women's Champion from over a year. This is like 5 or 6 matches that she had during that reign that were incredible. But I don't think of that any of those reigns like that, except her NXT Women's Title run.
Hmm. Yeah, I think Bailey. I would be fine with leaving Bailey on the eight. I think she had a really great reigns in NXT, and then she has, like you said, the SmackDown champions, the Raw champions. She is. I think she's just an incredible talent. Um,
Mhm.
and I feel like if we did this tier list again in like a year or
Mm-hmm.
so,
Oh
she
yeah,
would definitely be a S tier.
absolutely. I agree.
Absolutely. I think her next reign, which is I hope will be very soon, is going to be a really good one.
Please, please let her
Really
win.
good. She has to. And it'd be a really
We
good one.
we thought Oscar was gonna be Charlotte and she didn't. So please let her win.
It's
Please.
just uh
Ugh,
we
ugh.
we're gonna talk about that, but
Yeah, we're gonna have to soon.
yeah, we're
But
gonna talk about that. But yeah, I think Bailey being A for now is good. But let's circle back in about a year or so
mhm.
and see where she lands. I think that's pretty
Mhm.
fair.
I agree.
Speaking of Charlotte Flair.
F. I hate. I'm kidding. No, you can't deny it. Okay, yeah, like even above Bianca, as much as it pains me,
Yeah.
um, because again, well documented on this channel, I do not like Charlotte. I think her wrestling is kind of stiff. I think her in-ring work is mostly okay. She did have that really good match with Rhea at Mania last year, but other than that, and that last man woman standing with Becky at Evolution, but Charlotte's never been my favorite. But come on, she's a 14-time women's champion, more
Yeah.
reigns than anyone ever. If I am correct, she's also the only 2-time Triple Crown women's champion because she's
Mhm.
won every belt at least twice. Um, she's beaten so many incredible people. She retained the belt over undefeated Asuka.
Yeah.
That alone pushes you up. And yeah, she's an S tier. I don't want her to be. I don't want this. I promise, I do not want this. But she's an S tier.
Yeah, she definitely is an S tier. I mean, got to give props for props are due. She is incredible. She's champion. She's been, like I said, 14 times. 14 times.
Mhm.
And she just so good when she does it. She gives us good matches even when we hate to see her winning. They're all good matches. And so I think it's undeniable to it will be a disservice to give her anything less than S tier.
I mean, and also we didn't even mention she's the last Divas champion. Like
Yeah,
she has.
yeah,
I mean, as again, as much as I am pained at saying this, she has a case to be the best champion in the history of the women's division.
yeah.
Um, and we'll see if that's where she's at by the end of this list. But I definitely she thinks she's in the conversation for it.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. We move to Becky Lynch, the man,
Our final horsewoman.
our final horsewoman. Yeah.
Well, I'll let you go on this one, Lana. What do you think?
Me personally, I think she is the best champion. I think I
Mhm.
cannot, you can't deny the impact that she has had with her reigns. She is the only woman who held both belts at the same time.
Right.
Um, she she would she just became the man right before our eyes and was just incredible. Like the transformation from Becky when she was at NXT to the Becky we see now is incredible. And the impact that she has as champion,
Mhm.
it was just it helped revitalize women's wrestling again. It made it exciting. It made people want to watch. Like she is the most mainstream women's wrestler like in a long time. People were calling her the man all over the place, and it was
Mhm.
crazy. I
Yeah.
I just think it's undeniable to not put her in the S tier. Me personally.
I will pretty much just copy paste what I said about Charlotte. Uh, I think Becky is entirely overexposed on the product right now. I think she has been in too many a title match and won too many a belt. But at the end of the day, you cannot deny that as a champion, she's incredible. She is consistently putting on incredible title defenses when she is champion. She was the first SmackDown Women's Champion. She just became a Grand Slam this past year,
Mm-hmm.
um, for under dubious circumstances, but she did do it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like she has done everything but win Money at the Bank in this point, and like even that, does she need that? No. Um, like double champ, the only female double champion. Well, one of two. We'll talk about the other one in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
But she is a double champion. She's incredible. However, I will say I'd put her under Charlotte, I think. And I think the reason I'd put her under Charlotte is very simply outside of the WrestleMania match where Becky didn't even pin Charlotte because she beat Ronda. She pinned Ronda, right? Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Charlotte kind of has Becky's number a lot of the time. Uh, like when Charlotte won the women's title at Mania to begin with, she made Becky submit. Charlotte beat Becky to win like at least two or three of her championships. Um, and again, you talking about mainstream. Yeah, Becky may be a little bit more mainstream and like popular with like interviews and casual audiences, but Charlotte is just omnipresent. Anytime she is on TV, like Becky, as much as I said she's overexposed, she can exist without a championship. Charlotte can't. Charlotte has to be involved with some sort of title feud, and to me, that just is the sign of a true champion. Like she is just always there.
Mm. I'm trying to see if I agree. Do I agree? I might agree. Do I agree?
To me, I like this is to me these are like the one and two. Like to me, like they are one and two, no matter what the order is. I think they're like either or is fine. I don't think there's like a yes, this is definitively the better one. That's just my opinion.
I think I might agree. because Becky has Charlotte. Like you said, Charlotte has Becky's number more than Charlotte. Then Becky has had Charlotte's number.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I might agree. I might agree.
Okay. Mhm.
Up next, we have Eve Torres.
My girl. Um, so we mentioned Michelle earlier. We're talking about Michelle McCool, like defined a generation. I think Eve defines like a 2 year gap between generations. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so like after Michelle's gone, but before AJ Lee and Caitlyn, there's that like
Mm-hmm.
little window where Eve Torres is like running the women's division for a few years. She's a 3-time Divas champion. Some of the longest reigns that belt ever had were under Eve Torres. I do not imagine her like if I think of Eve, I'm like, oh yeah, she has a butterfly around her waist. Like that's just how I think of Eve. Um, she should be in the Hall of Fame. I don't care. And I love Eve. I think she's incredibly talented and does not get her flowers nearly enough. Um, I will say she wasn't around very long though, and that is a knock against her. Um, I would put her like A, but under Molly.
Okay. Um, might have to disagree with you on this. As much
Oh,
as yeah, I might have to disagree with you a little bit. I think Eve was good. She was a good champion. I don't think she was an impactful champion. I think she had her moments, but I felt like I don't know. It was some. It wasn't like a reign that I would. I'm sitting here like this was a good one. This match was great with Eve. I'm having a hard time
I.
remembering
Mhm.
her reign as.
I mean, I cannot disagree with that because when I think of matches that Eve like had for the title, I think of two, which is the one where she won the belt for the first time with against Maurice, that she won it with this like weird cool roll up that she never did ever again. Um, but then the other one I think of is when she lost the belt the last time to Caitlyn. So like I can't argue with you. I think that's very fair. Um,
I would if I was putting her on the list. I would probably put her in a C. But that's
I
just
would be okay with B under Sasha because I do think as much as like we may not remember her defenses, when I think of Eve, I imagine her as the Divas champion. Like I can't not. I don't really do that with Beth.
mm, mm,
I know we're a little top heavy right now, but we'll straighten it out, y'all.
yeah.
Okay, I'd
Um,
be fine with C above Beth though because she is like I think of her as a champion bigger than I do with Beth.
so C above that.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I could agree with that. It just
Hmm.
didn't fit right with her being by Sasha Banks to me. I don't know. It just didn't sit right in my spirit.
Fair.
Up next is Mickey James.
Um, unpopular opinion: Mickey James belongs in the D tier. And like, okay, hold on. Let me explain why. Let me explain why. Okay, you name me one memorable Mickey James title match. You name me one good memorable Mickey James dude that is not Piggy James. That thing was terrible. It was awful. Yes, it had a satisfying conclusion, but like, ugh. Also, you remember who she lost her last Divas Championship to? Because I do. And that is not a good person to lose a title to. Um, Mickey, I love her. She is incredible. She is great, but like, I do think she's a little bit overrated as a champion specifically. Now, if we were factoring her in her TNA stuff, she'd be way higher. She's an incredible champion TNA. But like, just in WWE, D. I can't really put her much higher than that.
I would not disagree with you.
Oh.
I don't. I wouldn't disagree with you at all. I think her reign was so not memorable. Like you said, you remember who she lost her belt to. No, I don't. I don't.
I'll give
I
you a
don't even
hint.
know
She's
who.
a guaranteed F tier on this list, and you forgot she was even champion before we made the list.
Oh God, no, absolutely not. Look for that alone. Look for that alone. She need to move.
Yeah,
Oh,
D.
I did not. I did
Oh, you're
not
saying
realize
F?
that. No, I'm gonna put her back. I'm gonna put her back. I said it, but that was more of a joke. I will put her back.
Yeah.
I'll put her
I have to say, I
back.
don't think she's F. I think she's at least D. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't. Wow, I did not know that. So
Mhm,
I didn't remember that. So yeah,
mhm,
yeah, no, not impactful, not memorable. It just didn't do it for me. Her reign did not do it for me. So
mhm.
there we have it. We move. Up next, Alundra Blaze.
Okay. In terms of the division when she was the champion, there wasn't
Mhm.
much of one for a lot of her reign.
Right.
Because this is the early 90s, the Fed didn't care about that sort of thing. The women were meant to be sideshows. But what they did do was they imported a lot of women's talent from Japan. And you look at the women that she faced against in those reigns, we're going to be talking about a few of them in a minute. Um,
Mhm.
she's incredible. As a talent, she's up there with like Victoria as one of those people that I think wrestled in the wrong era. Um, in terms of the prestige that she has the belt for, I cannot put her above B. But if she wrestled like 5 years later than she did in the Fed, she would be a S tier champion probably.
Okay. I'm just gonna agree with you on that. I think the time that she wrestled, like I said, wasn't a lot, but the talent that she had while she was doing it was really good. And um, I believe if she, like you say, if she was born in a different era and came and wrestled in a different era, she would be amazing in that
Mhm.
era. I just think this one, she for where she was and what era she was wrestling when they were, like you said, like they were just side pieces. They weren't really considered,
Mhm.
superstars at that point, even. So
Yeah.
I think for what she had going for her, what she was dealing with, and for what she did, I would definitely put her in the B
Yeah.
tier.
Uh,
Absolutely.
she is a Hall of Famer though. So
And she
wait,
is.
she also, if I remember correctly, she won the 24/7 title as well.
I think she
So
did.
props to Alundra Blaze on being a 24/7 champion. No other woman on this list has that accomplishment to their name just yet. So congrats.
Okay, well, let's talk about another from one Hall of Famer to a Hall of Famer in the making this year, Miss Bull Nakano.
Um, Again, if we are counting things outside of WWE,
Mm-hmm.
S, free S. But because we're not, and we're only talking about the reigns of WWE, um, Bull Nakano, she was arguably Alundra Blaze's biggest rival in the Federation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as a champion, and I'm going to say this as fair as as fairly as I possibly can, she did not have the most dominant reign with that belt that I think she should have had. She was only champion the one time, which I definitely think pushes her down a little bit in my brain. Um, but I mean, talk about incredible talent. She's undeniable how great she was in that ring. Um, but as a WWE champion, she is a D tier champion, just like Mickey James.
Oh,
But higher than Mickey, but she is a D tier champion.
I don't want to. Again, I think I would, me personally,
Mhm,
would put her more like a C, but behind Beth, only because the era that she was in, the talent wasn't, it wasn't, they weren't put out as superstars. They weren't given they weren't given the what they deserved, the time,
Agreed.
and I feel like if she would have had that, it would have been more dominant. They just played in their faces at that point. But I feel like what she did, just like we said with Alundra, what she did with the card she was dealt was kind of amazing.
Yeah,
And
I
so
mean,
I would kind of, because I do remember her reign. I do remember what she did with the reign, and I thought it was a good reign.
mhm. I definitely think Bull is just one of those incredible talents that, again, she wrestled in the wrong era, but her impact is still felt throughout the entire company to this day. People are using Bull Nakano moves left and right across the world, male or female or in between. Um, but as a champion, I would be fine with her being C under Beth because her reign was pretty solid lengthwise. It was about 4 or 5 months, so like that's fine.
Oh, look at us! Look at us! Look
Mhm.
at
We're
us!
getting along, Lana. I'm kind of worried.
We are. I love that. Up next is Little Miss Bliss, Alexa Bliss.
Wesley, I will do this for you because I know you love her. Um, she's an A tier champion. Uh, eh, Now, granted, she has been gone for a while, but you cannot deny when she was on top of SmackDown and Raw as women's champion, like some of the best women's programs we got in that time period. She was champ forever. She won the belt at SummerSlam, didn't drop it until Mania. I'm talking about the Raw belt. Uh, she was the first like long-term SmackDown Women's Champion because she unseated Becky in like a month after she won the title. Um, Held it for a while. Like Alexa Bliss is one of the biggest overachievers in the history of pro wrestling. From like where she was when she came up to where she is now. I miss you, Alexa. I know you just had a baby, but like come back soon, but not like too soon. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, she's an A tier champ to me. She's great.
Before Molly, before Bailey, in the middle, or where she is.
After all, at the bottom of where she is at the bottom of A, I'd say.
Okay. I would agree. I think Alexa has done really well with the reigns that she has. She has Raw, she has SmackDown. She has surprised a lot of people because she is a very little petite little thing. And nobody thought this little firecracker was gonna be able to do what she does, and she is eating it up. Like
Mhm.
she did really, really well with her reigns. I appreciated her reigns for what they were. Um, yeah, I think I think she did really well. I think it's going to be better when she gets back, in which she put out a tweet that she will be back soon. I'm thinking SummerSlam we might see Alexa Bliss.
I could see her coming back on like the Raw after Mania. Like I could see it.
I
She,
think I'm thinking SummerSlam because it's in her
oh, it
hometown.
is in her hometown. I forgot about that. I forgot she was from Cleveland.
So I'm
Yeah,
thinking we might get a little Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam.
yeah. I'm just happy she's doing better. She did have that bout of skin cancer last
Mm-hmm.
year. Is pregnant. Had a baby actually. She's not pregnant anymore.
And no, she had the
So
baby already.
yeah, she has a baby. Her and Carmella, they both take your time coming back. Don't rush.
Yeah,
Spend some time with your babies, okay?
absolutely.
Especially Carmella, because your husband's on the road with the company,
All the
so
time.
yeah, all the time. So both of you take your time. Um, yeah, Alexa's great. A tier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Up next, we're going to have Miss Wendy Richter.
So the main reason because I don't know if Lana had Wendy Richter on her list, but
No.
I put Wendy Richter on my list for two reasons. One, because I know Lana doesn't follow AEW, but Tony Storm, who's been women's champion over there, has been making snide comments at Wendy Richter the past few months. And I went back and watched some of her matches because I was like, this is making me want to look at Wendy Richter. Um, I was loving every bit of it. She was, again, she's one of those people that didn't feel like she wrestled in the right time period because it was mostly like the 80s was when Wendy Richter was active in the Federation. Um, she did take the belt off Moolah, who, spoiler alert, is not on this list for reasons. If you want to know, look it up yourselves. We're not discussing that here. But Wendy Richter did take the belt off Moolah. That to me is an immediate plus, pushing her up the rankings. Um, and also she's just really cool. Like, just in the ring, she was really unique for the time period. Yeah, sure, she wasn't like if you put her in the ring now at the level she was at in the 80s, I don't think she would mesh very well. But if you put her in that time period with like a Lunger Blaze and Bull Nakano, she could have went with them easily. Um, so I would put Wendy Richter at B. I think B tier is a great spot for her.
Okay. I would agree. I think Wendy Richter
That's hard to say,
was.
isn't it?
It is hard to say. Um, Watching, I remember very little about Wendy Richter, but what I do remember, she was a great, like a good wrestler. Like, she was a good wrestler, and yeah, I did see her take the belt off of that other person, and that was a huge deal because that person had been champion for 3 decades,
Mhm.
decades. So for
And
her
we
to
thought
take
Roman Reigns has been champ for too long.
right, I mean decades. So for her to take that belt off of that person is like wow,
Yeah.
wow, amazing, and it was like showing that it's time to show some a different side of
Mhm.
the women's division and a different type of champion. And I appreciated that for Wendy for what she did, and I appreciate her style of wrestling. Is it if she was like in her prime going against some of these girls today, would she be as successful? Probably not. But
Mhm.
in the time that she was there, it was just what they needed in the WWE at
Yeah.
WF at the time.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate Wendy Richter.
Yeah, I mean, also adding to that too, if I'm not mistaken, I believe she's the winner of the first women's title match at WrestleMania. So like, she's got a lot of legacy there that I don't think is like as looked at, but she's definitely someone that I would put in contention as like one of the most impactful women's wrestlers from the 80s. So yeah,
Okay,
Wendy Richter, she's great.
okay.
She is in the Hall of Fame too. She's also a Hall of Famer. So
Cheers, cheers.
she is. So give her that too.
Up next is Lita.
I'll let you go.
For me, I think Lita would probably be on the A tier, A
Mhm.
tier wrestler. I mean, she came in and went from being somebody's valet to being a part of Team Extreme
Mhm.
and made a huge impact that a lot of the female wrestlers today still talk about how they were um, Lita was somebody who like let them realize that they could do this. They could be a wrestler and do what the guys do, jump off the top rings and high fly and do all that stuff. And I thought she was a good champion. I thought her first reign to me I think was her best reign, but her matches that she had back and forth with her and Trish was kind of legendary. And that's where I will put her.
Um. Okay. I might have to use my veto on this one. I might. I think this is the time. Lita is an F tier women's champion, undisputedly to me. Um, and and here's why. Okay, again, first, not a knock on her talent because Lita was incredible. I mean, is incredible. She literally just won the tag belts last year. But like, as a champion, her longest reign was 72 days. She had four. Three of them were less than 40 days. None of them were more than 2 months, outside of the 170-day reign, which barely gets over 2 months. Um, her matches with Trish, incredible. Most of the time, Trish won those. Uh, her matches her matches with other wrestlers in that time period were great. I don't think of Lita as a champion, and also her actual champion defenses. She lost almost all of them. Um, like again, I'm not saying Lita is talentless. I think Lita is very talented. She does things I could never do. But purely based on her booking as a champion, she's an F tier champion.
You say F?
F. F tier.
Like you used your veto on that?
I depending on your reaction, I'll see.
I don't think she's an F.
She cannot be above C, at minimum C, at like the bottom of C.
I don't agree with that.
All right, well, veto. Lita's going an F, baby.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I feel bad, but she's just not a good champion.
Wow. Wow.
Wow is fair. I cannot be mad at that.
Wow.
Mhm.
All right.
Again,
Well,
as a wrestler, she would be A tier free, but as a champion specifically, F.
all right. Well, let's go to her best friend, Trish Stratus.
S.
Wait, so Trish is the S?
Yeah. Trish is an S.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm utterly confused.
Okay,
I
let me
don't.
explain. Let me explain.
Please.
Okay. For one, Trish Stratus had a championship reign that was 447 days long. Uh, she is a 7-time women's champion. Uh, all of her reigns, except her last one, which she retired right after she won the belt. So I'm not going to count that against her for lengthwise. All of her reigns, except like 1 or 2 of them, are pretty long. She had incredible defenses after incredible defense, won the belt from some incredible people. Her matches with Lita as champion are great. Her matches with Mickey, her matches with Jazz, Ivory, um, Victoria, Molly, Gail, like just as a champion. When you think of the WWE women's division in the early 2000s, you imagine Trish Stratus with the belt around her waist, like undeniably. And to me, that's an S tier champion.
Mm, I hate to agree with you. I do. Yeah, yeah, I hate to do it. I hate to agree with you, but I'm like, when I'm looking at Trisha at Superior and Lita F, and I'm like, my soul is not right.
It's not them as in-ring workers. It's just them as champions. Lita was a great chaser. Okay, Lita chasing the championship was great. As a champion, she didn't do a ton, and Trish did so much for that division. As a champion. So like, I cannot imagine Trish being anywhere but S and Lita being anywhere but F.
Wow. Oh, okay. Well, there we have it. There we have it. Um, let's move on to Jazz.
I'll let you go.
To me, I will put Jazz as a B champion.
Okay.
I think she had good reigns, but I don't feel like they let her have great reigns.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's a fault to her. I just feel like it's a fault to where she was in the time of the company. I think she could have had better reigns if they took care of her, if they trusted her, if they wanted her to do better. But I don't think in the place that she was, in the place that the company was, they would allow her to be great. So,
Mm-hmm. Um, I mean, Jazz, she's only the second African American women's champion that the company ever had, after
mhm.
another one, which I'm pretty sure we're going to talk about at some point today. So I'm not going to say her yet, but Jazz, I really do agree. I wish they would have given her more shine. Um, it baffles me how she hasn't gotten a call for a Royal Rumble appearance yet. It baffles me how she hasn't gotten a call for a Hall of Fame appearance yet, because she should be a Hall of Famer. Um,
Mhm.
I mean, hell, she was the Beth Phoenix of her generation before
Yep.
Beth was around. She was the woman. Again, talk about having guns. Look at Jazz Flex when she was in her prime in like 2003, 2004. Um, Jazz is great. I wish they would have done more with her, and they just didn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. 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 Yep.
Hmm.
So you cool with where she is?
Oh, who's she underneath? Sasha? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. Victoria.
I do not feel like I can impartially uh, rate Victoria. I could do it with Molly because I can acknowledge that while Molly was like always around and all that crazy stuff, like she was there, she didn't get to hold the belt a ton, but when she did, it was impactful.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, on the other hand, she got to hold the belt a lot. I think she's a 4-time women's champion. The problem, on the other
Wasn't
hand,
impactful.
it wasn't that impactful. And I think like based off of where I put Lita, who also had the belt hold the belt 4 times, like I don't think I can put Victoria much higher than D because I can at least tell you a memorable Victoria title defense. Um, like I can say, oh yeah, she defended the belt at WrestleMania against Molly Holly in that hair versus title match, and she won it. Like she retained the title. So like I can at least say that. I don't. I think D plus like above Mickey, as much as it hurts me because I adore Victoria.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that.
Hmm.
I don't look. I really don't have much to argue against that. There's not much to argue against. You know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think it's right, and we move.
I hate it. I love you, Victoria.
Maurice.
Uh, this is tough. It's tough. I feel like nowadays her impact isn't as fondly thought of, but I remember when she was champ, she was the second Divas champion. She held that belt forever.
Yeah.
And it was a long reign. Like I feel like she was champion for like 300 days or something crazy like that. It was insane. Um, Nowadays I feel like most people would just remember her as the Mrs. Wife,
Right
which
now.
kind of that makes me pretty frustrated. I think she's a lot better than just being like a wife instead of being a champion, a incredible talent. Um, because God, she was so over as a heel. We hated
Mhm.
her. We wanted her
Yeah.
to let. We hated her so much. Um, and this is the part where Wes would make some snide dig about her being Canadian. But yeah, I love Maurice. I would say honestly either top of B tier or bottom of A tier as a champion. Um, but I could respect an opinion that has her lower than that.
Um, I think she's a B.
Hmm.
Me personally, probably in front of Jazz. I still don't think she was as impactful as a Sasha,
Hmm.
but I think the fact that she held the belt for so long speaks
Hmm.
volumes. And I guess her impact would be we love to hate her. Like she
Hmm.
made us hate her. And I feel like that's a something if you have a reaction from the fans where we're like, I don't like it's like and it's visceral, which she had, I think that's something to look at.
Yeah,
Um,
I,
so I
I
think that kind of impact is important.
I think the impact I would say Maurice has nowadays, I mean, outside of her manager work with The Miz, I think the biggest thing I can say with her is she made us care about the Divas title, you
Yeah.
know? And at the time, I don't want to say that was a tall order, but when you look at the people that they had wrestling for that belt on a regular basis, it wasn't exactly easy. Um, Especially considering the women's title had been around for so long, it really did feel like I don't want to say a secondary belt, but like it did kind of feel like a secondary belt. And I think Maurice is the first person who really made us look at it and be like, yeah, this is a belt that's for anyone who wouldn't get the opportunity to be a champion. And I think she did a really good job of being that.
I agree. I agree. I think excuse me. I think Maurice being right in where she is a perfect spot for her.
I agree.
And I kind of have a sneaky suspicion where you will place this next person.
I can't see who it is. So who is it?
I'm going to let you know, and it is the one, Miss AJ Lee.
Well, I'm not Wes. I'll say that first. I'm not Wes. Wes would put her at the top of S tier. He would put her above Charlotte Flair. She is
Mm-hmm.
not going above Charlotte Flair.
Right.
But again, talking about women who defined a generation of wrestling in the company, AJ Lee,
Mm-hmm.
like that, like 2-3 year period where she was the woman in that company.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Everything was about her.
Yeah.
And again, there's like 2 other women who are around. I'm assuming we're going to talk about both of them. I know we're going to talk about at least one of them. Um, like she's just incredible. I can't even lie. Her work as a heel champion running Raw is insane. I'd put her at the top of A tier. And I think the only reason she's not at the top of in S tier, is her actual reigns. Like they're long, but the defenses were not against a lot of quality, like in a lot of quality matches. They were
Mm-hmm.
short. This is pre-give Divas a chance. Like, top of S. The top of A. Top of A. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Uh, yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think Lita was gonna be our biggest argument today. I'll be honest.
Yeah. Well, we look. The list ain't over yet, but
True.
yeah.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah. I think AJ. I mean, you can't deny how the impact that she had when she was there for that, like you said, 2-3 year period of time. It was all about AJ,
Hmm.
and when she won the champion, she was such a good heel,
Hmm.
such a good heel. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
that's right. I think that's right.
Yeah, I mean, she was champion for almost 300 days. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Defended it at WrestleMania. Granted, she lost it on the Raw right after, but like she defended it at WrestleMania. Uh, you know, this is back when Tamina was her henchwoman. I feel like the world has forgotten about that, but like
Mm-hmm.
she was great as a champion. And as much as Wes is gonna be mad that I didn't put her in S tier, I think A is the right spot for her.
I think you're right. I think you're right. Let's move on to AJ's rival, Caitlyn.
My girl, uh, Mae Young Classic participant Caitlyn,
Mm-hmm.
former
Mm-hmm.
Divas champion Caitlyn. As a talent, highly underrated. I know a lot of people don't like her spear. I love her spear. I think it's actually pretty solid. Um, Unfortunately for Caitlyn, this is a ranking of someone as a Divas champion.
Mm-hmm.
um, and as much as I love Caitlyn, she's going to be joining the Victoria and Mickey Jameses of the world. I think she was champ for like 5 months. Her reign was not incredibly memorable. I love her title win, and I love the feud where she lost the belt to AJ, because her title win was in front of her hometown in Houston. Um, I believe it was Eve's last match in the company. I could be wrong about that, but I know she beat Eve for it. Eve sold the hell out of that spear too, by the way. Um, but like Caitlyn, I feel like is just so underrated. I love Caitlyn. I wish they would have brought her back. I know they never will ever again, but D for Caitlyn feels about right. Okay, I Lana's having a bit of a cough. But yeah, like Caitlyn, like she came back for the Mae Young Classic. I think her Mae Young Classic work is great. I think that I was happy she was there. Uh, I hope Lana feels the same way because I know I adore Caitlyn. I just don't think her work as a champion specifically, and like what the company gave her, was really a lot to write home about, unfortunately, which pains me. I think Lana has sipped some water and we're good. Yes.
A little bit.
Mhm.
Sorry, off about this. Crazy. It's crazy.
Mhm.
Um, as far as Caitlyn goes,
Oh, and we're back. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Caitlyn's great. I adore Caitlyn, but as a
I
champ,
agree though.
yeah. Mhm.
Because honestly, I don't remember her reign that much.
Mhm.
It's just it just wasn't memorable.
Yeah.
I
And which sucks because I mean I assume you like Caitlyn too, but I mean Seth Rollins copied her hair and like all that fun stuff. I wish Caitlyn got given more. I know why she didn't. It was definitely in that time period where they still looked at the women as a side attraction. Uh, and I'd like to think that Caitlyn is one of the people that made them take notice of the women and made them do more. Her and AJ both, like their feud for the women's title was crazy. Their match they had for the belt at Payback, where AJ won the belt, also really great. Um, but unfortunately, her reign is just not the best. I wish they would have given her another reign. If she had one more reign around the same length, she'd be at least a C tier.
I can see that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, what up next? Sorry, y'all. I'm so sorry. Up next, we have Paige.
This is tough because the thing I remember the most about Paige is when she won the belt. She won the belt on the Raw after WrestleMania. We all remember that. Paige is one of the most memorable title wins of all time. Uh, ended that crazy long reign of AJ Lee, but the actual reign itself, she had a feud with Tamina, and then she had a feud with Cameron and Naomi, and then she lost the belt back to AJ, and then she won it back, and then she lost it again, and then after that, she never held the belt again, which sucks. But like when your biggest feuds as champion are Tamina and the Funkadactyls, like Naomi pre Glow, like I don't know what to really say. Um, you could make an argument for her being an F tier, and I wouldn't like be too mad about it. I think as much as I love her, I would say maybe bottom of D just because she did end AJ's crazy long title reign. But like outside of that, and like her title win is super memorable, but her actual reigns, not the best.
Honestly, I will put her F.
Yeah, I hate saying it, but yeah.
Because I don't remember her reigns. Like you said, I remember the win
Mm-hmm.
against AJ, her first night on the main roster. She
Mm-hmm.
came up. What? But I will say I might move her to D because her NXT reign was pretty good as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about
So,
that. She was a double champ because she
right.
came
She
up
had the
as the NXT
NXT.
Women's Title. I put her above Mickey then. Like just in general because of that alone. I mean, she ran that women's division in NXT. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Mm,
I
but
can see that. Yeah, but that's the only reason I would not put her in F because her NXT rank.
yeah,
But other than that, yeah,
main roster reign F, NXT reign C. It's put together,
right.
you get a D.
You get a D. All right, up next is Natalia.
I don't want to say it because I feel bad.
I'm going to say it. I'm
Yeah,
just
you're
going to
not
say it.
wrong. You're not wrong.
I love Natalia, and I think she's an amazing wrestler and an amazing like mentor to a lot of these women who are coming in after her, who follows her guidance and her tutelage. She is amazing at what she does. I do think she has another championship reign in her, but I just think she needs to come up with a story that will make us interested in seeing her as champion. But I feel like her reigns were just so
Forgettable.
forgettable, boring, not exciting. Like,
Can you tell me who she beat to win either of her women's titles?
no.
I can tell you who she beat to win both of them, but that's only because I looked it up for one of them. Um, she beat Michelle McCool to win one of her women's titles, and it wasn't even like one of the good Michelle McCool reigns. It was one of the mid ones. And then the SmackDown women's title reign she had, she beat Naomi,
Hmm.
right? But like, it wasn't a long reign, and like, even though it was kind of fine, it just Natalia has never been the person they wanted to strap the rocket onto, and we have kind of always been vaguely aware of that. Um, and it sucks because, like we said, I think Natalia is incredible. She's one of the best working women in the company right now. Still, to this day, she's the longest tenured woman in the history of the company as an active ring performer. Several Guinness World Records for wins and for matches and for pay-per-views and title defense and title matches and all that amazingness. She's been on the active roster, on the main roster since 2008. Like, not a lot of men on the roster can match that, much less any of the women. But they just never gave her too many good title reigns, and I think she kind of has to slot in F.
Yeah.
But I would put her above Lita. As a champion, she is above Lita because at least her biggest win in her better reign of her 2 matches was a win in a submission match over Naomi at SummerSlam, which is actually not a terrible win. She held it up for like 3 months and she dropped it to Charlotte, so it's not like it's a terrible loss either way.
Right.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. But
speaking of Naomi,
that's who we talking about next is Naomi.
I'm on
I'm
fire,
gonna let
boy.
you go. I'm gonna let you go.
Okay. C, but with the understanding that I hope in a year or so we can say, oh, she's an A tier. She, she's had 2 reigns, I think, as champ. The first one I don't really count because she tore her knee. I kind of count it as one big reign because that's basically what it is. And then the second reign was really good. It was WrestleMania to SummerSlam, really good matches in between. And she also did have a custom title, which I believe she is the only person on this list to have a custom title this far. Oh, there goes Lana. Oh, geez. She'll be back. Give her a second, y'all. We love Naomi, though. Naomi's great. But yeah, I mean, Naomi won the belt at WrestleMania. That does get some props. She also beat Alexa Bliss, who was the champion at the time, to win the belt in I think it was a 6-pack challenge. So yeah, Naomi, C tier. I definitely think she is one of those people that when she gets another reign, A tier minimum, maybe. I mean, depends on how long they let her have the belt. Just let her turn heel and let her be a bad guy and let her run the women's division with an iron fist. That's what I want. So
As much as I love me some Naomi, and I do, I was planning on using my veto if you did any lower than a C. Because
I would never.
I wouldn't.
Never. I would never.
Any lower than a C, I would have been pissed. But I feel like she's top of the C tier, me personally.
Valid.
I think I agree with you. She had it one big time because I don't count that first one for the knee injury, but I do think she has room to grow. And we've seen what she can do when she left the company and now she's back. I think it's only up from Naomi if they let her be great.
I agree.
So we'll circle back in a year or two's time.
I just looked and saw who was next, and I'm so excited. You know you want me.
Could I finish my thought on Naomi first?
I'm sorry.
Thank you. If we circle back in a year or two's time, I do believe we'll have Naomi moving up to the A tier, possibly S tier if we move up. We'll see. But I do definitely see A tier. All right, now we'll talk about
Jillian
Hall. I bet y'all don't even remember when she was champion because I sure didn't.
Oh, I did.
Because it was 10 minutes.
It was 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes. I'm being a little bit exaggerative on that one. Jillian had a random match with Mickie James for the Divas title on Raw. Comes out, beats Mickie, which the crowd was shocked and very angry. And then the GM comes out, is like, congratulations, Jillian, you're going to have your first title defense right now. And then Melina comes out and beats her for the belt. So, like, it wasn't a good reign at all. I'm happy for Jillian that she's at least able to say that she was a Divas champion. Um, I wish they would have let her be champion for like a month. Just terrorize the women's division on Raw for a month and make them sad about Jillian being champion. But yeah, F. Bottom of F.
Yeah, I'm not going to dignify this reign with any of my thoughts because, ugh. Moving along, it's Melina.
I'll let you go first.
For me, I would give her a D. I think her reigns were good. Her reigns were solid, but not as memorable as I would like
Mm-hmm.
them to be.
Yeah, I agree. So when I was doing this, I kind of made like a little list of like the people. I was like, oh yeah, these are the people I'm gonna rank high. I put Melina at the like near pretty high, like 7th or 8th, and I looked at her reigns individually, and then I was like, oh wow, her reigns really were not that memorable, were they?
Mhm.
Like she won the Divas title, and I think if I'm not mistaken, that was like a pretty short reign. I think none of her reigns were ever like above like 4 months. Like I don't think at all. And for some reason, I had this like mental image that Melina had been champion forever, and like she was this like unbeatable queen. But I don't think that's how that worked. I think she was champion a very short period of time every time she won it. So yeah, D feels right. I would even I'd say bottom of D, honestly, even below Mickey. Um,
Oh,
yeah, I mean Mickey at least won the belt at Mania. I don't think Melina ever won a belt at Mania. Uh, impact wise, like on the business, Mickey's still wrestling. Melina has been kind of MIA for a while. She did have a Royal Rumble appearance, but outside of that, I think she's just been doing NWA work.
hmm
So like, yeah, I think that's a pretty solid spot for her.
mm, 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 okay. Mm, I can agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I can agree with that. She hadn't been working like for real. So
Mm-hmm.
I could, I could see that. I can co-sign with that. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. Up next, Jacqueline.
The first African American women's champion. Give her flowers. That alone makes her at minimum a B tier. Um, but like we also got to remember Jacqueline, as much as we talk about her being a women's champion, that is not the
Mm-hmm.
only singles
Nope.
title she won in the company. She is a former hardcore champion. She is a former cruiserweight champion. Um, like A, minimum A. Like I cannot say she is any like below Alexa, but like impact alone, she is insanely impactful as a woman on this company. As a women's champion on this company, I mean, yeah, first African American women's champion. Uh, like that alone puts her in this like upper tier of people for me. Um, but like she's just insane. Like God, I love Jacqueline. I'm so happy she's a Hall of Famer.
Me too. I would move her up though a little.
Oh,
I would move her up past Molly.
I'm fine with that. I had no problem with that whatsoever.
I mean, because of all the titles that she won, she didn't just win a women's title, like you said, his hardcore champion, cruiserweight champion. She was so impactful, and I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's where she belongs.
I mean, she
Honestly,
is that girl.
she
Like,
is that
she
girl.
is that girl.
I
Um,
love Miss Jackie so
mhm.
much. I am a huge fan of Jackie. And when people were just dogging Jackie, I was like, I just saw Jackie and I saw me in Jackie. So, of course, it's just so impactful. It's so amazing for me. There was no way she wasn't on this list for me. There was no way. And
Yeah.
there was no way I was going to disrespect her. Like, if you would have put her anything below A, I was vetoing. I'm,
Oh
I'm
no.
so glad I didn't have to put my veto out yet because
You got two left. We'll see if it comes out. I mean, you might not
Let's,
even have to use it. You might be able to save it for next time. Um,
right. Look, double it over for the next tier. I don't
yeah,
know.
exactly. All right, I believe that's Oscar. Yes.
That is Oscar next.
S. Like, just counting her NXT Women's Title run is enough to put her in S. Um, Add in her reign after she won Money in the Bank, after she beat Sasha to win it back. Um, she's had so many crazy reigns on the main roster. She has won everything, not even counting just the women's title. She's won everything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and like, I'm not sure if her NXT reign or Bianca's world title reign is longer. I think they're around the same. But like, at minimum there, I would honestly put her above Trish. And I did not think about that coming in, but now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah.
Me personally, I'm gonna keep it moving. I think she's above Michelle McCool.
I cannot argue with your logic, Lana.
I just think Oscar is simply amazing. Oscar is I feel like her reign since she got into the main roster has been great.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if she got it again, it could be greater. But I know she's like almost ready to go, which is saddening to me.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
I
uh,
mean, yeah, I do. I love Asuka. Like, I adore her. She will be a Hall of Famer, right? She's also in her
mm-hmm.
40s. She
Yes,
is not in her home country. She is
no,
married. Like, she's got a lot. I think she has a kid too. So like,
yes, she
she's
does.
she is a busy woman. And I really hope, like, again, and this is what I've said about like AJ Styles and about all these other people that are aging up, like Christian Cage and all these
Mm-hmm.
people. If they could wrestle forever and it not hurt their bodies, I would love them to. But I also acknowledge that they can't do that, um, which sucks because I love Asuka. But at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
she's cemented her legacy as a champion.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And last but definitely not least, it's our current women's champion, Rhea Ripley.
See. Yeah. Um. Okay. Here's why. We
Mm-hmm.
talked about it earlier when we are talking about length. Sure, she's been champion for almost a year. That's insane. Her title defenses have been boring when she's had them, and when she
Mm-hmm.
hasn't had them, it's been a long time in between her defenses. I think her best defense she had was that submission match with Natalia on Raw. And
Mm-hmm.
outside of that, I like, even though the Nia match just happened, I can't remember a single spot from it. Like, she's really not had a ton of defenses. Uh, I honestly think her strongest body of work for this list is her NXT Women's Title run, which is
Mm-hmm.
like 5 months. She beat Shayna Baszler for it, who was champion forever. Which
Mm-hmm.
honestly, Shayna Baszler probably should have been on this tier list. But yeah, she hasn't won gold in the main roster yet, so DQ'd. But like, I can't put her any higher than that in my brain.
At the
But
end
I
of
can
the
acknowledge,
bottom of the C list.
yeah, and honestly, I could even push her to D, like Loki.
Wow. I think Rhea is the champion who circle back in a year or two will move her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think maybe it's recency bias,
Mm-hmm.
but I just can't. I feel like putting her under Beth when I don't even remember her reigns that much.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I remember her
Bull
reign.
above Beth is fine too. Yeah, yeah, fair.
Yeah,
Isn't
I'm
it
kind
crazy how you
of
remember Bull's reign more and it was like 30 years ago?
right, right. That's what I'm saying. I remember her reign more than I remember her reign,
The
which
more I
is
think about it, do we need to move Beth down to D?
mine.
Because we kind of put her, like, the rest of the forgettable champions are in D. Like, I feel like we
Yeah,
kind of
I
need to
kind
move
of feel
Beth
like she
down.
deserves to be there.
I don't think she deserves to be like that low in D. I think I'd put her above like Paige, but like at least like, yeah, I love you, Beth. Love you, Beth.
Uh-oh. I didn't mean to put you there, Beth. That wasn't intentional. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for right now, because
Mhm,
it's just been a year for Rhea,
mhm.
but if we circle back in a year or two, she might move up.
Yeah.
I'm okay with this.
Mhm. So, I think this is a pretty solid list, Lana. I think we have made some controversial takes today that the general
Hmm.
wrestling populace may not agree with, but who cares? Make your own list and share it with us in the comments down below. Um,
Absolutely.
is there anybody you think we left out that we should have talked about?
Yes.
Maybe like
Yes.
China.
That's who I was going to. I'm mad at myself for not putting China on the list. I was like, wait a minute. I did not put China on my list.
I literally realized it right when I sent my list, like 2 hours after. I was like, oh crap, I forgot to put China on my list. Oh, I'm not worried about it. Lorna's gonna have China on my
No, I forgot until
list.
we started the episode. And I was like, oh crap. I didn't put China on the list.
Mhm.
China
But
would
yeah,
definitely be on the list, and China would definitely be a tier or S tier wrestler.
I would say top of A, like around the AJ Lee area for sure, at minimum. But
I would
like,
put her
yeah.
there.
Yeah, is there anybody else you think you forgot? Maybe you're just a really big fan of the cat. We don't know, but maybe you're a cat fan. Maybe you're a Bella Twins fan. We didn't rank either of them, but
I
hey,
thought
it's
about
our.
it.
I also thought about it, but at the end of the day, that's our list. If you want to share yours down below, anybody that you think we should have put on here, go ahead and tap it down below in the comments. We'd love to hear from you all. Um, but yeah, I think we made a pretty solid list, Lana.
I do too. I think we came up with a decent list, a decent group of people, a decent group of women who we are excited to celebrate and talk about. But if you agree, let us know. If you don't, tell us what you think. Do your tier list, take a screenshot or whatever, or put it up, DM it to me or us, or put it in the comments, put your list in the comments. I don't know. Do whatever you can.
Mhm.
But yeah, we would love to hear from you. And you can follow us at the Cup Pod on our Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok because we have some funny moments that we like to
Mhm.
put on the on our socials. Follow this channel if you haven't hit. If you've listened to this talk all this time, and you just sat through the technical issues and all of that, and you haven't hit the notification bell and the subscribe button, what are you doing? Hit it. Hit it right
Mhm.
now.
Just a
Hit
little
it right.
little poke, just a little
Hit it right
poke.
now. Go ahead.
We're
We
waiting.
looking. We're looking. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We
Oh,
appreciate
the
you.
bell, the bell, the bell
The
too.
bell too. The bell too.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate you. Um, And if you're a fan of Drag Race or Drag or any kind, go to the main channel, The Cup Pod. Fan of Eurovision Song Contest, The Cup ESC. Um, you can follow Brooke and I. We talk about stuff on our own personal channels. We appreciate all of that. Continue to scroll down. Get your cup merch, period.
Hmm.
Not limited to, but your cup mug. Also, be on the lookout for something very special happening here at the Cup with this channel and with other things happening. And so we appreciate you. Just be on the lookout. That's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, we appreciate you sticking around and enjoying this tier list with us. And on that note, we're gonna get out of here. So cheers.
Cheers. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Bye bye
Bye.
now.
Bye now. Bye
What?
bye.